and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2023-24 season. My name is Dan, and today it is time for the Game Week 15 Buy, Sell, Keep, Avoid video on a Sunday. Yes, guys, because the Game Week 15 deadline is so close, which means I'm not sleeping, and neither are you guys. So if you do enjoy this one, please do drop a like for the extra content on this Sunday, and do subscribe if you are new around here as well. Let's get started with the new Game Week's stuff. Okay, so buys are players you probably don't have but should consider bringing in. Sells are players you probably have but might be thinking about removing. Keeps are players you might be thinking about removing but I actually think you should keep them. And avoids are players that are pretty hyped up right now. I think they are potential traps that maybe you should avoid. So, a quick look at last game week scores. In general, I don't think they were too bad. I think our predictions were pretty good. The one disappointment really was in the buys where Arsenal conceded kind of late on in that game. How on earth that's happened, I don't know. One of those strange things in the world of football and FPL. But if Raya and Saliba kept clean sheets, then we would be looking at a really good score in terms of our picks from last game week. But in general, the sells, they were all, you know, bad. The avoids were mostly bad. João Pedro was on the bench. He came on and did score a goal, but he did also get a yellow card in that game, so a marginal L for me. The keeps absolutely smashed it this game week, so hopefully you guys were able to keep the likes of Trippier, Son, and Watkins. But aside from that, you know, 11 is okay. I like to do better though, so yeah, let's see what we can do for game week 15. Okay, so with game week 15 on the horizon, we have got a big gift ready for Christmas, and that is Dubravka, because Nick Pope unfortunately has dislocated his shoulder. He had this injury previously, and on that occasion, he was out for 3 months with that injury. So it could be that Dubravka is going to be the main starting goalkeeper for several months at just 3.9 million. That is insanely good value, and it's not even like Dubravka is a poor goalkeeper. He's kind of widely regarded as one of, if not the best backup goalkeeper in the Premier League, and kind of unfortunate not to be a starting goalkeeper. So actually, I don't think this is going to drop Newcastle's defensive abilities very much at all. We've got some great fixtures coming up for them for quite some time now, and I do think clean sheets are on the cards, as well as potential save points there as well. So a nailed on 3.9 million goalkeeper for one of the top defenses in the league for, you know, for the next 3 months. You can't really go wrong here. And if Dubravka really is playing for that long, then we really don't need to worry until our next wild card. We might actually have our main starting goalkeeper all the way till our second wild card. So that's going to be a really good thing. Like I said, an absolute gift at this price. And for our defender buy, I've gone for Trippier this week. Obviously, I could have just said Saliba again or another Arsenal defender again, but I think you guys get it by now. Buy Arsenal defenders. If you don't have any already, you know, grab one. They're a top defense in the Premier League. But let's go for something different this week. I want to talk about Trippier, because he's back in Trippier business, back to his old usual self with his 12-pointer in game week 13. Not surprised to see him back with those scores: an assist, a clean sheet, 3 bonus. That's just what he does. That is what he does. It's what he's best at, and it's why he is such a valuable FPL asset at 7 million. So definitely a player. If you don't have him already, I would certainly think about bringing him in. And if you can downgrade your goalkeeper to a Dubravka at 3.9 million, that may free up a little bit of budget that allows you to make a move such as Trippier. So yes, definitely a defender you want to be keeping an eye on right now. Of course, the Arsenal defenders are pretty important too. A goal and an assist and some bonus points too for Heung-min Son. Well, I can't say I'm too surprised. You know, he has been looking so good recently. It's been super unfortunate not to get FPL returns, but we're back in business now. So, yeah, Son, definitely a player that we need to think about bringing in if we don't have him already. He is still, in my opinion, the 3rd best FPL asset in the game after Haaland and Salah. Arguably, though, over the next few game weeks, particularly with Man City having that blank, Liverpool do have some tough fixtures in a couple of weeks' time. Son genuinely could be, over the next maybe 5 game week period, could outscore even Salah and Haaland. He really could do it. He is that good. Still hasn't had a penalty yet, somehow. We expect him to be on those. He's still super attacking. His numbers are incredible when playing as the central striker, and he is a career overperformer. So he's only going to need a few chances to get those goals, and he proved that against Man City, didn't he? And yes, he did technically score in the other end of the pitch as well, but Son is just a very, very important player to own in FPL right now, and arguably the most important player to own in FPL after, like I say, Haaland and Salah. So try and figure out a plan to get this guy into your team if you don't have him already. And for our forward buys, I struggled with this one a lot. Like, I really struggled with this one, and I can't really figure out what forward I would go for this week. I feel like it's probably a case of whatever forward you have right now, stick with them. But if I had to pick one forward to buy for game week 15, I guess it would be Darwin, and that's just because of this Sheffield United fixture. I mean, we saw Burnley beating Sheffield United 5-0. It really is very obvious that Sheffield United are just not up to scratch at this Premier League standard, and a great attack like Liverpool, who scored loads of goals game week 13 and score loads of goals every game week. They're going to score more goals against Sheffield United. There's going to be a lot of goals in this game. And even though Darwin couldn't quite hit the target this week, maybe not quite what a lot of people expected against Fulham, at the same time, you know, getting the chances is half of the battle, right? And on another day, he buries at least one of them. Like, he's not as clinical as Son, don't get me wrong, but typically we wouldn't expect him to miss this many good chances. We really, really wouldn't. So, moving forward, I do think that Darwin still has a really, really good shout to be one of the top scoring players of game week 15, if you're brave, if you can stomach a player who does occasionally miss those big chances. But yeah, I think there's still room to be positive there. But in general, would I be desperate to go for a forward transfer right now? Probably not. On to some sells, and I think if you are fed up with Areola, and a lot of you guys are fed up with Areola, myself included, now is a good time to hop off him. Away game against Spurs, we know West Ham never keep clean sheets, and especially against a Tottenham team that are so attacking, there's no way he's going to keep a clean sheet in this game. So you can pretty much move him to another goalkeeper knowing that you're automatically going to get better chances, no matter who you pick, pretty much. I think probably West Ham have some of the slimmest chances of a clean sheet of any Premier League team this game week, it has to be said. Maybe Sheffield United might have something to say about that one, but I think West Ham are in a similar ballpark at the moment. They just do not keep clean sheets at all. So, yes, like I say, a good hopping off point for Areola if you are sick of him. Like I say, Dubravka would be the guy I would go for to replace him. And Matty Cash, another great hopping off point for him as well. Now we've got that Bournemouth game out of the way. There was kind of some notion that maybe if he did start, then they could have got something out of that, but he didn't start, and Aston Villa conceded a load of goals anyway. We've got Man City and Arsenal next, followed by Brentford. These are not good fixtures at all, and we do expect probably Aston Villa to concede in each of these games. Their defence has just been poor in general, so clean sheets are just very, very unlikely. And when we look at attacking returns as well, you know, how much of a chance do you have against City, Arsenal and Brentford? Probably a limited amount. So even with Cash's small, tiny amount of attacking threat, you still wouldn't back him in any of these fixtures. So if you can't bench Cash for the next few games, then maybe, just maybe, it might be worth just selling him, moving him on to a different defender, whether that's an Arsenal guy, whether that's Trippier. You know, that's going to be up to you, but there's definitely some options out there for you. Our midfield sell is Diaby. I don't feel like ridiculously strong about this one, but again, Aston Villa, next 3 fixtures, absolute horror show. Really, really not the best fixtures in the world, are they? Not ones that we want to be facing. Now, Man City is an interesting one. Could there be an argument to keep him for this Man City game, considering Man City will be missing Rodri in that game? Rodri is going to be suspended. I think it improves Aston Villa's chances of scoring, don't get me wrong, but is it going to be Diaby involved? And with Ramsey now back, with Zaniolo and Bailey also able to play in similar positions to Diaby, is Diaby going to be nailed? Well, we already know that he was benched in game week 14, so I think that's our answer there. Even, you know, the first substitution, I thought Diaby would be the guy to come on first for Zaniolo. It wasn't. It was Jacob Ramsey, actually. So is Diaby actually going to be in a little bit of trouble in terms of rotation over a busy fixture period? Probably, yeah. And the fixtures aren't good enough to, you know, warrant keeping him through them. So 6.8 million, he's at a decent price there. You can definitely find some replacements for him, whether it's Mbeumo, whether it's Palmer or Gordon, if you could upgrade him to like a Saka maybe, or a Son if you've got enough money in the bank there. There's loads of other midfielders that we will all be having a very close look at right now, and Diaby is unfortunately not one of them. So a good time to sell Diaby, in my opinion. It was tough to sell him ahead of Bournemouth, but this game week, yeah, I think just do it. And of course, I did speak about how I probably wouldn't make a forward transfer this week. Well, if I had to make one, I guess it would be Nketiah out, because with Jesus back, with Trossard in form, with Havertz in form, I really don't see where Nketiah is going to get any game time, really. He's going to get a few minutes off the bench, but it's just going to be 1-pointers every week from him, most likely, unfortunately. So, yeah, if you do still have Nketiah for whatever reason, I would just be binning him now. For our keeps, we're going to start you off with Leno. I know a lot of people still do own Leno, and I would be very tempted to sell him, don't get me wrong, particularly after the Liverpool game, but Nottingham Forest at home, you know, Nottingham Forest have been quite a poor attack recently. They really have. Not scoring nearly as many goals as maybe a lot of Forest fans maybe hoped. So, is this a good game week to keep Leno? I think I probably would give him one more game week. I think maybe you could consider selling him next week, but for this week, I would keep Leno. I think that against Forest, you've got a decent chance. And he's a guy who makes saves. I don't think Fulham are quite as bad of a defence as maybe a lot of people make them out to be as well. I don't think they're a super, you know, weak defence like, you know, your Sheffield Uniteds, your Lutons, your Burnleys, maybe even Bournemouth. I wouldn't put Fulham in that category quite. So, yeah, I would keep Leno for one more week. And also keep Saliba. This was a really difficult one. I was looking through the most sold defenders, and obviously it's very early in the game week cycle, so maybe the stats aren't fully there, but Saliba was actually one of the most sold defenders. So, yeah, I wanted to just give another shout out to Saliba and just say, yeah, don't even think about selling those Arsenal defenders ahead of Luton. Yes, Saliba got a 1-pointer last game week, but that's rare. That's an anomaly. I wouldn't expect that to happen every week. And I think Saliba in general is going to be a pretty useful player to have in your FPL team. You know, I'm looking at these fixtures, and even like, you know, you look at Aston Villa, Brighton and Liverpool, even those tougher fixtures, you still back Arsenal to have that ability to keep a clean sheet in those games, don't you? Because they are the top defence in the league right now. So, yeah, I would be keeping Saliba and any other Arsenal defender you happen to be on right now. Okay, so two players that a lot of people sold last game week because of their unfortunate flaggings. You know, both 50% flagged, no good information from their managers. In fact, Emery actually doing a lot of damage, sort of saying Watkins, he's going to play 50-50 chance of him playing. You know, he's probably not good to play 90 minutes. Well, what happened? He starts and he plays the whole game, doesn't he? So, yeah, bit of a troll there. But on Bowen, if you still do have him in your team, if you haven't sold him yet, I would probably keep him, to be fair. I think consistently he has been a really good FPL asset this season. I think there's been a lot of positivity around Bowen, and unfortunately he did have that injury which forced a few people to sell him. But if you did keep him over this last game week, yes, he blanked, but I think looking forward for a player of his price, pretty decent price there, I would imagine that he continues to score pretty well there. You know, we've got Spurs next, who are obviously a super attacking team, and anyone can score against Spurs right now, as we know. We've got the likes of Fulham and Wolves after that. They're okay fixtures. And Manchester United, they concede a lot of chances as well. So I'll be very, very happy to keep the likes of Bowen if I had him. But unfortunately, I did sell him because I thought he wouldn't be starting, or at least I didn't want to take that risk. But if you kept him, I think you're in a good position. I think you could be happy with that one. And of course, Watkins, similar situation. If you manage to keep him and manage to grab hold of that Watkins haul in game week 14, first of all, congratulations. The risk paid off. But moving forward, I really would say that I don't think there's much point in selling him. Who are you going to move him to? A Darwin and Isak. Both of these players are going to be minutes risk over the next week or so. Whereas, you know, with Watkins, at least you're going to get starts, and that's the start of it. You know, he's a 90-minute man. He's going to be playing very, very regularly over a busy fixture period, and that's going to be a really useful kind of player to have right now. So even though the fixtures aren't great, like I said, Rodri out of the Man City team is going to make a difference. It is going to give Aston Villa a little bit of a better chance of scoring. And even against Arsenal and Brentford, you know, if anyone's going to score against them, it's going to be Watkins, right? After that, you've got the Sheffield United at home game, a game week in which Watkins is probably one of the two best captain options for that week. It's probably going to be between Watkins and Son for your game week 18 captain. So if you don't have Son in particular, I definitely wouldn't want to lose Watkins as well. You need to have at least one of them for game week 18, in my opinion. But Watkins, I think he is a solid pick. I don't think there's any strong need to sell him, and I'm not really too convinced by any of the forwards right now to want to make that move necessarily. So if you kept him, good. Continue to keep him. So, of the goalkeepers, Ederson is one of the most popular transfers in right now. Obviously, Aston Villa away is a tough fixture. We're talking Aston Villa, one of the top attacks in the league. So, definitely no guarantees of a clean sheet in that one. And we've got the blank in game week 18 for Man City as well. So, particularly if you are not free hitting in game week 18, Ederson, I would not even think about touching. No way. He's going to cause you a lot of problems, and he's probably not even going to keep that many clean sheets because really, Man City have disappointed defensively this season, haven't they? Not been quite up to scratch, and I would imagine that Aston Villa, you know, I'm not expecting Aston Villa to score a load of goals against them, but they're going to score one. And the final point, and I think this is probably the main point when it comes to Ederson, is why on earth would you spend 5.5 million on a goalkeeper? Have you been watching this Premier League season? That is way too much money for a goalkeeper, considering none of them keep clean sheets anyway. So, completely pointless. Waste of money. Spend that money higher up the pitch on players who can get attacking returns, because clean sheets are an absolute myth this season. And Mykolenko is going to be my defender avoid. I don't mind him as an FPL asset generally, but this just would not be the week to go for him. Newcastle are obviously one of the top scoring teams of the league. They score a lot of goals, so yeah, I would imagine that Everton probably do concede against Newcastle, so you're not going to get a clean sheet there. Newcastle, fairly strong defense as well, so I don't think a goal or an assist is guaranteed there either. So just not the week to buy Mykolenko. Maybe in a couple of weeks, maybe when they're about to play Burnley, we might talk about Mykolenko again there, but for now, just not the week for him. But if you already have him, you know, you can maybe try him out, try and play him, knowing that no one else is going to get anything anyway, or maybe bench him instead. Okay, so lots of people tempted by Enzo, 4.8 million, and obviously a top-scoring player in game week 14. But is that going to happen every week? Well, the past suggests probably not. So, although he is tempting as a cheap midfielder, first of all, he scored a penalty in that game for Chelsea, and as soon as Cole Palmer comes on the pitch, you know, there's no more penalties for Enzo, let me tell you that. And it's very, very fortunate that Palmer actually came on literally immediately after the penalty was taken, because otherwise Palmer would have probably stepped on that pitch and taken that off Enzo straight away, and we might be looking at a very different Enzo Fernandez score there. But yes, good score for game week 14. I don't think it is going to continue very much though, to be fair. So yeah, would not be looking to go for Enzo right now, despite that big score last week. And Julian Alvarez, similar situation whereby we have a blank game week in game week 18. Like Alvarez, like I just wouldn't be thinking about moving to him. Yes, he's got a couple of assists recently. His kind of attacking returns haven't really been hugely there. Doesn't really seem to be much point in going for him with that blank coming up. I think you probably just, like I say, avoid making forward transfers in general. Maybe the avoid section for forwards should be everyone. Avoid everyone. Don't buy anyone. Just stick with what you've got, because this probably is as good as you're going to get. Everyone has their risks. Everyone has their downfalls right now, and there's no standout forward to go alongside Erling Haaland in our FPL teams right now, unfortunately. There's a couple of decent options, don't get me wrong, but no standout is there, so yeah, avoid. So in conclusion, guys, we have got 2 days until the Tuesday deadline, so we've got to really be thinking about our moves very, very carefully right now, seeing what we can go for. Yeah, big theme of today is stick with whatever forwards you've got. I don't think it's worth making a transfer. Defenders, probably not worth making a transfer either, unless you're going for an Arsenal defender or a Newcastle defender. If you fancy a goalkeeper transfer, this is a good week to do it, going for Dubravka. But aside from that, I imagine most of us will be making midfield transfers. That seems to be where it's at. There's loads of great midfield options right now, so that's probably the area we want to focus on if we do want to be making those game week 15 transfers. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy this one, make sure you drop a like. Do subscribe if you are new around here as well. Thank you so much to Fantasy Football Hub for providing all of the Opta stats for today's video. If you want to check them out, there is a link to them in the description. And of course, check out FanPrints if you want to get your very own fan print like this, or, you know, many of the other things that are on the FanPrints website. Really helps support the channel there as well. Check it out before Christmas. You can get 20% off using code FPLMate, all one word. Yes, so there we go. But aside from that, guys, it's a busy couple of days for me. We'll be back with our 100 Experts video tomorrow. Yes, on a Monday. But until then, thank you so much for watching once again, and I will see you later, mates. Bye-bye.